All right, let's talk about something you've probably seen all over your social media feeds, multi-level marketing, or MLMs. These opportunities that promise you financial freedom, a life of luxury, but they often hide a really expensive, really painful trap. So the big question is, how do you spot the difference between a real opportunity and a massive billion-rupee fraud?
And that really is the question, isn't it? You see a post online, maybe it's even from someone you know, and they're flashing cash, showing off a new car, and promising that you can have all of this too. But is it really that simple? Is this actually easy money, or are you about to walk straight into a financial nightmare?
And this is the line they use to reel you in. It's the promise they whisper in those high-energy seminars and spam across WhatsApp groups. This idea that your entire life could change if you just bring in one more person. It sounds so easy, right? So tempting. But you have to understand, this single idea is the engine that powers these massive scams.
Okay, so let's really get into this. And it's super important to be clear here. Not all MLMs are automatically illegal scams, but there is a very, very bright red line. And when a company crosses that line, they stop being a legitimate business, and they become a criminal enterprise. So where exactly is that line?
The difference is actually way simpler than you might think. On one hand, you have a real business. The focus there is all about selling a quality product to people who actually want it. Your income? It's based on how much product you sell. Simple. But a pyramid scheme, honestly, they couldn't care less about the product. The entire game is about recruiting more and more people, and the money comes from the joining fees that those new people pay.
So here's the bottom line. It all comes down to one question. Where is the money really coming from? If the whole system is built so that cash from the new folks at the bottom just flows straight up to pay the founders and the people who got in early, well, that's not a business. That's a pyramid scheme, and it's totally illegal.
In fact, you can think of this as your own personal scam detector. Just 4 simple tests. First, is the main money coming from recruiting people, not from selling an actual product? Second, is the product itself kind of junk? Super overpriced, low quality, something nobody would actually buy on its own? Third, are the promises of profit just completely insane, like guaranteed daily returns? And finally, this is the big one, is the money from new members just being shuffled around to pay off the people who joined earlier? If you're nodding yes to these, you are almost certainly looking at an illegal scheme.
Now, I get it. You might be thinking this is a fringe issue, something that doesn't affect a lot of people. But the reality on the ground, here in India, is absolutely staggering. We're not talking about small-time cons. We're talking about huge, sophisticated operations that have stolen thousands of crores from everyday people just like you and me.
Just look at the Indus Viva case. The company allegedly raked in 1,500 crore rupees. And how? By forcing new distributors to shell out huge amounts of money for basically worthless products. The real money wasn't in selling those products, it was in the commission you got for roping in the next person.
And it doesn't stop there. Then you had Future Maker Lifecare. They were accused of a 1,200 crore rupee fraud. Their model wasn't even pretending to be about products. Nope, it was a pure money circulation scheme. Plain and simple, fueled 100% by joining fees and promises that were impossible to keep.
And it's not always these giant faceless companies. This quote from Hyderabad really shows the human side of it all. Scammers specifically targeted housewives, selling them this false dream of starting a small business and ended up duping them out of 200 crore rupees. These aren't just numbers on a screen. These are real lives that have been devastated.
And the scariest part? This problem is not going away. It's actually getting worse. In 2023 alone, over 400 new MLM and pyramid schemes were launched in India. That's more than one new scam a day. They're getting smarter, more aggressive, and they're targeting everyone. This is a real and growing danger.
So how do they do it? How do they convince so many smart people to hand over their hard-earned money? Well, they have a playbook. And when you see it broken down, it's surprisingly simple, but it is brutally, brutally effective.
It all starts on social media. They flood your WhatsApp and Telegram with pictures of fancy cars, luxury vacations, and all these fake success stories to get your attention. Then, they lure you into one of those high-energy seminars. It's less of a business meeting and more of an emotional hype session, promising you the world. And then comes the final, and honestly, the cruelest step. They use your own friends, your own family, people who might have gotten in early and actually made a tiny bit of money, to pressure you into signing up.
Okay, we've seen the scam, we've seen the unbelievable scale of it, and we've seen the playbook. Now, we're at the most important part of this whole explainer. So let's just slow down for a second.
This right here, this is your toolkit. This is the red flag checklist you absolutely need to protect yourself and the people you care about.
Let's run through these. Huge joining fees and getting paid only for recruiting? That is the classic sign of a pyramid scheme. If they promise you guaranteed high returns, it's a lie. No real business can do that. They'll use these high-pressure, limited-time-only tactics to rush you so you don't have time to think. And if you ask basic questions about how the business makes money and they can't give you a clear answer, run. Just run. A legitimate business is never afraid of simple questions.
So there you have it. You have the toolkit now. You can see the red flags from a mile away, and you can spot the patterns. But the real question I want to leave you with isn't just about protecting yourself. It's about who you can help next. Who in your life, a friend, a parent, a neighbor, might be the next person to get that message on WhatsApp. Because being informed yourself is the first step, but sharing that knowledge, that's how we actually start to fight back against this.